The Americans have said that they want to crush the Islamic State. But how are they going to do that if they've ruled out putting boots on the ground? Well, the Americans can and do already supply airstrikes. Those could be expanded. They also have substantial naval assets in the Mediterranean and in the Arabian Gulf. Those could be brought to bear against Islamic State. And then on top of that, they have the world's most comprehensive and sophisticated surveillance and intelligence systems. All of that could feed into other states who'd be expected to supply the actual frontline soldiers down and dirty on the ground. The British have fallen in behind the Americans in saying that they want to put an end to Islamic State. And everything that the Brits do really will be in support of American operations. They would support with air assets. They would support with some naval assets. They do have very good intelligence operations already in the region. They have very sophisticated special forces who would operate in a covert role. But there will not be any kind of British boots on the ground apart from special forces. Really, the British role will be principally in trying to get together a broader coalition. It will be a diplomatic and political role, trying to get other nations to supply those very important boots to get on the ground. For Saudi Arabia, Islamic State poses a very clear and present danger, partly because ideologically there's not a whole lot between the national religion, the Wahhabi interpretation of Islam that prevails across Saudi Arabia, and what Islamic State say they want to achieve, apart from the level of violence. Of course, Wahhabism inside Saudi Arabia is non-violent, but they do see Islamic State as a major threat. So if there's going to be any kind of military effort to get rid of the Islamic State, it will be to Saudi Arabia that the world looks first to provide all and any of the sorts of assets that would be needed. So that would include naval assets, air assets, and very importantly, a significant level of ground forces. And traditionally, the Saudis are not that keen on getting mucky out there in the desert. The Qataris would be critical to putting together a coalition, but they don't get along with their neighbours in Saudi Arabia. And this is because the Qataris traditionally, recently have been supporting the Muslim Brotherhood, and the Muslim Brotherhood are seen as a significant threat to the monarchies of the Gulf and to the Saudis. So that also gives the Qataris, though, an in with Al-Qaeda-related groups that could be used to turn against the Islamic State inside Syria, but also the Qataris have political influence among some of the groups already inside this broader coalition known as the Islamic State. And the Qataris have also got some pretty impressive special forces that were used to great effect in Libya, so they could be expected to supply some boots on the ground. Iran is a Shia country. Islamic State is a Sunni movement with an interpretation of Islam that is completely beyond the pale as far as the Tehran government is concerned. They see this Sunni extremist alliance as extremely threatening, first of all to their interests in Baghdad, where they're extremely powerful, but also as part of a much more dangerous Sunni versus Shia conflict that is evolving across the broader Middle East. They have already got troops on the ground in the form of the Quds Force, their special forces, external troops that have been working on the ground in support of the Iraqi Shia militias and the Iraqi army. So they already have boots on the ground. It'd be very interesting to see how many more they might supply if there is some kind of Western-led or Western coordinated coalition to get rid of Islamic State.